Hello, Orland Park. This is Dan McMillan, and I'm here today at a very special place, probably the most special place in Orland Park, because this is the hub of Orland Park, where the safety begins here first. I'm here at the Orland Park Police Department, and what we want to do today is talk about an organization that is very, very important, and most of you probably haven't heard about it, but we want to bring it to you today so that going forward you can help out. You can help out and come out and meet some of these survivors. What I'm talking about is called ILCOPS, Illinois. I don't know what we'll talk about how it's called nationally, but what it is Concerns of Police Survivors. So I have a part of not the head of the organization, but an officer within the organization of COPS, Mr. Mike Barnes. Mike, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm dropping my book. But Mike, I had not really heard of this organization myself, and we're going to be doing a fundraiser shortly that we're participating in locally. So that was one of the reasons that I started to get involved. And so now, as I learned what it is, I said, we need to bring this to the village of Orland Park. We need to bring it to the people so they can learn about it. And who better to learn about it than somebody that's been with it for as long as you have? So can you talk about COPS, it's called, Concerns of Police Survivors, where it began, what it does, what the future holds?
Absolutely. COPS was started by Susie Sawyer in 1984 as a national organization, and at that time it had 110 members. Illinois started their chapter in 2005, and currently nationwide there's over 15,000 families that are supported by the COPS program. The COPS program really is about rebuilding shattered lives. We take care of the families after an officer has been killed in the line of duty. I'm a sergeant with the Burr Ridge Police Department, and our agency has been involved with COPS for the past 9 years after one of our former officers was killed in the line of duty, Jonathan Walsh, and started doing fundraisers and that kind of thing to assist the families.
So it started back in 1984?
That's correct.
So when it was started, what was the genesis behind the idea, and is it grown, and how has it grown, and in terms of trying to help out the survivors?
Unfortunately, it has grown because we lose an officer approximately every 53 hours to a line of duty death, and that's a national average. So it has grown, and the premise behind it was, like I said earlier, rebuilding shattered lives. What we do is we offer a lot of different programs about, we start with the children, siblings, grandparents, parents, co-workers. What we allow them to do is to go to retreats that COPS funds, and they're only with that type of individual survivor. So only children of lost police officers go to that children's retreat, because we all grieve differently.
Yes. And
at those retreats, those children are allowed to see it's okay to laugh again. It's okay to enjoy life again. It's okay to start rebuilding your life while never forgetting the sacrifice that your family's made.
So there's so many different things that the organization does in terms of retreats and workshops and camps. So can you talked about the children's retreat. So it starts there. Where does it, and then let's talk about some of the other retreats or camps that they do.
The retreats never end, so the children will go on to adult camps when they grow up. Parents are selected only with other surviving parents. Co-workers are only with other co-workers. And each of these camps are held annually, and you can continue to go to those camps every year for the rest of your life. The camps are stationed across the United States and are in different areas. And at the camps, the kids, for example, and the parents as well, they'll do rock climbing, they will do shooting bow and arrows, they'll do canoeing, and there'll be camp counselors, therapists there to help any of those individuals, whether it's a child or an adult, that's having trouble dealing with the loss. And we encourage the children to get involved immediately, the adults to get involved immediately with our organization. Our organization is usually on scene at a line of duty death now within about 6 hours.
So yeah, so when somebody, when you lose a policeman, does the organization, are you notified, and then who notifies the family?
Notifications are typically done by the individual agency, and then we're called in to assist that agency. Our team will respond to that agency. We'll start by bringing in other surviving spouses, siblings, parents to meet up with those new surviving spouses, siblings, parents, children, so that they're acclimated almost immediately with someone that knows what they're about to experience and go through.
So have you talked in your travels, have you talked to officers about what it means to have cops, what it means to have that organization where they get a sense of security, knowing their family, because it could happen at any time. Nobody walks onto their shift on any given day knowing that could be the day. So does it give them certain security?
I absolutely believe it does. Having lost an officer that I personally trained when he worked for us, I know that it's definitely, the feelings are very tough to deal with. You always think back, could you have done something differently when that officer was with you? Could you have trained them differently? Having been now involved with cops for the past 9 years, it's really brought out some feelings of mine, and I've been able to work through some things personally from when Jonathan was killed in 2004. The officers that I've spoken with, that I've worked with, definitely know that we have their backs and we'll be there for them. There's an officer that I talk to every day almost. He had a friend that was killed in the line of duty last year, Craig Wizenan, that from Tazewell County, that we're riding for this year. The first night after we left the funeral services, I talked to him through his entire first shift via phone and via text to get him through that next shift that he had to work.
So they do feel better knowing that it's there. You talked about you lost your partner or somebody in 2004?
Yes, Jonathan Walsh was killed responding to a call in 2004. Jonathan was only 27 years old, and he left us and went to work for the Joliet Police Department, was killed there.
So then, you've seen it, you were so close to him, and how has COPS benefited him directly, or his family, the survivors?
Well, I can tell you that his niece, Riley, has done the cycle across Illinois that you're going to be talking about in a little bit. She was only 17 when she did the ride. His mom and dad are still very active, even though they're not in the state anymore. They've moved to Tennessee. One of his sisters still lives here. We keep in touch with them regularly, and I don't think they'll ever fully get over Jonathan being killed at such a young age, but you can start to see them smile. We laugh with them. They joke now. We've gotten to see some pretty cool video of Jonathan as a little boy singing rap music that they've showed us. So they've gotten to share a lot with us, and it's really kind of come full circle with the grieving process, I think.
So you said, what was it you said? This is part of the mantra of the organization is rebuilding shattered lives. So that is what they do. So you've seen this firsthand.
Absolutely, I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand. Yeah. I don't think I talked about Jonathan's death much after his funeral until I got involved with COPS 9 years ago. And there were a lot of feelings that I didn't realize I had. I still remember where I was when I got the phone call that Jonathan was killed. I remember what was on the television at the time. I remember where my children were. And I think about if I were to be killed in the line of duty or be lost in the line of duty, who I'd want there for my children, and it's clearly Illinois Cops and the National Cops Organization.
Yeah, I think this is such a needed organization, and folks, I think look at the website on your screen that we've got up there. It's Illinois ILCOPS.org, and you can learn more about the organization. This is an organization what's so important about this is that when these guys go to work each day, there's a good chance, there's always that chance, much more so than for any of us, that they may not return. So that's what's so important about this organization. Most of us are going to work. The worst thing that can happen is we can get a paper cut. These guys can lose their lives, and if they lose their lives, their families, we've lost something in the community with anyone we lose like that, but then it devastates the families. They're trying and they're rebuilding it. So if you've been a member for 9 years.
That's correct.
Of Cops. Give us, I just want to get we like to say a real life story. They're all real life, but give us an example. I know that we've talked a little bit about your former partner that had died, but what you've been involved, one that really, do you have a case that really sticks out in your mind where cops made such a difference that you even over and above what you even expected it to?
I think that since Illinois Cops created their Critical Incident Memorial Team, we've had all the line of duty death funerals since 2015. I think that if you talk to any of the families that we've encountered and helped through this, South Jacksonville lost an officer, Scott Fitzgerald, not long ago, responding to a child that was unresponsive in the backseat of a car on a dark road, and he was subsequently killed responding to that call. Our team was on scene 7 hours after we received the first notification that he had been in the accident. And in speaking with his chief since then, he couldn't believe what cops brought to the table immediately in order to relieve his agency of manpower. We were able to get other agencies to come in to take over their town so that those officers were allowed to grieve. We were able to put a spouse with his spouse immediately and surviving parents with his parents. Yeah. In less than 10 hours, those other survivors were on scene from when he was killed. You can't imagine that feeling, knowing that somebody else has been there and gone through that. Listening to them after the fact talk about how amazing it was that we came down there and we spend days after an officer is killed at that agency. It really kind of warms your heart when you go back to debrief with them and hear the impact that you had almost immediately so that they could. I think it's a necessary evil that this organization is around, but I'm very glad that it is because, gosh forbid something happens to me, my children will be taken care of. Yeah.
So it is, as you said, it's sad to say, but it's a necessary evil. But I don't think people there's so many, and I hate to, I don't want to talk negative at all, but you see too much with bad press with police. There's such a misunderstanding. You guys aren't robots. You're human. You have lives the same way as everybody that you're protecting. And so you want to do the right thing. That's why you got into this field, to serve and to protect. And that's what you do. And so it's so important. And I think people need to really, folks, please go on the website. It's at the bottom of our screen. And we're going to talk later about, in just a little while, about what you can do. We've got some fundraisers coming up. It's very important to support the organization. How is the organization supported financially? I know we're trying to talk about the fundraisers, but is that the sole source of funding?
That is the sole source of funding. I will say we do get grants to host training sessions across the country. We have a national convention that will be held in Grapevine, Texas this year. We have a traumas and law enforcement class that teaches agencies how to deal with different traumas, everything from officer suicide to line of duty deaths to funeral protocols and depression amongst police officers. Some of it because of the publicity that that we've had. Illinois will be hosting one of those this year, and those are done throughout the state, but primarily it is through fundraising that our organization is able to do what we do.
So, folks, in order for them to keep doing this great work, we really knew. We're not holding a telethon here today, but what we are saying is that please reach into your heart and know that in order for them to do this great work that needs to be done, there's no doubt that this needs to be done, that we need as a community to support that. So Rick, I called you Rick again, sorry about that. Rick Barnes, the Texas basketball coach that was pointed out earlier. But Mike, as we wrap up, can you just summarize what it means to have COPS and what you see as the future for COPS Illinois, but COPS, the national part of COPS?
I think we're going to unfortunately continue to grow. As I said, every 53 hours on average, we lose an officer. Our organization is going to continue to grow. These fundraisers mean everything to the families. If you have ever watched on television when there's coverage of a line of duty death funeral, you see the children, you see the parents grieving. These are sudden deaths. Yeah. They're not something that has been dragged on because of something like cancer or something like that. These are sudden deaths, and they're always traumatic. And I unfortunately see us growing, but I also see us growing in a very positive way. It's about rebuilding lives. We have rebuilt lives, and I know that Orland Park Police Department has helped one of our surviving children, Keith Dorward, who's now a police officer down in the South. His father was killed in the line of duty, and I know that many officers from Orland Park have gone to football games with him, been there for different events as he was going to college, and I think that's what it's really about. It's about giving back.
Yeah, and this is all part of the community, folks. I know when this summer when you're out at celebrating the 4th of July and in Orland at their wonderful celebration and the Taste of Orland, and you're out at the pool, part of the reason that we're able to relax and enjoy the community that we do is because of the policemen and because of the police force. So we want to thank you, Mike. It's just great. I can never thank you guys enough. I can never thank veterans enough. I can never thank those who protect us on a daily basis and lay their lives on the line. So it's great to learn more about your organization. We'll talk a little bit. We're going to be back in a few minutes, folks, and talk about the fundraising. But remember, it's reach deep down in your heart and remember that this organization is critical. It's critical to what the police force does. So, Mike, thanks for coming out today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And folks, we'll be right back to talk about a couple of the fundraisers coming up where you can help make a difference with the police force and COPS Illinois. I'm Dan McMillan for 147 South. Thank you. Now we're outside the police station. As you can see, we're right next to one of Orland's finest vehicles, the Ford Taurus that they like to use, the Fords here at the station, and so we do appreciate that. But we're here with Mr. Scott Schuster, officer at Orland Park. Scott, what do we want to give us? Number one, thanks for having us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
It's great to be here. What is your so when people see you and they want to salute you on the street, what's your official title?
Well, I'm Officer Scott Schuster, and I'm the school resource officer at Sandburg High School currently. It's my current assignment. You're keeping
the school hallway safety.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay, so you're there. You how long have you been with the department?
10 years.
10 years here in Orland. Did you start here in Orland?
I did.
So you haven't known any other police department other than Orland Park?
Just Orland Park.
Okay, and didn't you guys, we're not here to talk about all the awards of Orland Park, but this is an Orland Park show, and I have such tremendous respect for the Orland Park Police Department. I saw where there was a recent award. You placed in the top percentile, or maybe in the top of something here in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, we're a highly accredited police department. Our command staff has worked very hard on getting the police department up to date on all the ins and outs in the police department and making sure that we are nationally recognized for that.
Yes, and you see so many local awards, and it's what does keep it keeps it safe. You really don't hear a lot of crime here in Orland Park, and people say, and sometimes they think, if we don't have much crime, why do we need the police department in such force? That's why we don't have a lot of crime, because the police are out there. Really, an ounce of prevention is really worth it. So it's really important that people understand and respect and embrace the community. So I want to talk a little bit we're talking about cops today, as you saw in the first part of the show, folks, and we'll talk about a couple of the fundraisers coming up. But we also want to talk about how important it is to recognize the things that we do in the local police department. And a little further away, next every January 9th? It's LEAD. What does that stand for?
Law Enforcement Awareness Day. It's just an appreciation day for law enforcement.
So is that the day that everyone should make it a point to buy their local officer dinner?
If they want to.
If they want to. Okay, if they want to. But before that, we have the something we should talk about that people are aware of. Put it on your calendar, folks, and come on out and support the police department. What is it, a night out for crime?
National Night Out Against Crime will be August 2nd this year. It'll be held, it's held every year at the Civic Center, right by Village Hall. Joe Rizaford will be out there with their vehicles. We'll have some other fun things to do for the kids. We'll have a lot of the local businesses will come out, school districts will come out in force to provide information for families and make it a fun event.
So that's really important, folks. Put it on your calendar. It's the evening of August 2nd over at the Civic Center. Come out, show your support for the local police departments. This happens. What's great about the event is you feel really as part of a national community, because that's the national day, isn't it?
Correct. All the police departments across the country will be doing the same thing.
So we'll all be out there August 2nd supporting it, and that'll lead right into, I think just a little after that is Taste of Orland, and you guys are such an integral part. People they may not even know how much of a part you play in something like the Taste of Orland, because when a big event happens like that, what goes into the planning stages? I'd like to just get an idea, give our viewers an idea of behind the scenes, what goes into planning for one of the major events we have in town like the Taste of Orland.
Well, from the police standpoint, we're just security. We don't actually plan the event. That's done by the village. We just make sure that everybody's having a good time and that someone doesn't spoil the event.
So the fact that if they don't notice you is even better, but you're there at every turn. So if something was to go wrong, the police department is there.
Absolutely.
That's there.
Absolutely.
So let's now talk about something that I have never known before, and it's is COPS. And what do we call it? It's concern. What is that? What does it stand for again?
Concerns of Police Survivors.
Concerns of Police Survivors, and it's such an important. We've had over 1,000 deaths in the line of duty for police officers just in the state of Illinois. Now I read that. What time period is that from?
Oh boy, I think you'd have to go maybe to the 1890s or early 1900s to present day.
Yeah, so it's folks, and we talked about before, once every 53 hours nationally, but it can happen anywhere. It could happen in Illinois, it could happen in Orland Park, but we have to make sure that we have the support groups so that when something like that does happen, because there's some bad people out there. As much as we like to think that we're all nice and that that it's that we all love each other, there is a need for law enforcement, and sometimes it gets rough. And the concerns for, what is it again?
Police Survivors.
I should get these acronyms. So this organization started in 1984, and in 2005, the Illinois chapter was formed, and you've been a part of it for how many years?
2008 is when I started.
You started in 2008 with that, because you started 10 years ago here in the police department. We're here for a few years, and then you saw the importance of having a support organization.
Yeah, well, Orland Park Police is participation in Illinois COPS actually started in 2004, which was actually the first ride or the cycle across Illinois. And it just so happened that the ride came through Orland Park, so they contacted our police department and asked for some help getting through Orland Park. So our bike patrol unit met them at Route 6 on Wolf Road and rode with them through Orland Park, and then ended up riding with them all the way to Chicago. The following year, we had several of our bike patrol guys did the whole ride, and then it kind of spiraled out of there. We had anywhere from up to 10 to 12 police officers participating in any given year doing the cycle across Illinois.
So that leads us into a nice segue. That was Cycle Across Illinois. That's been going. How long is that one? How long has the ride been going?
The ride's been going since 2004.
So that was the first year of the ride.
First Cycle Across Illinois, that was the first ride.
So this year. It's from July 14th to 17th. It's 350 miles. It's the bicycles. It's your 10 speeds. The bikes you guys all have at home. Now, who actually does the riding across Illinois for 350 miles?
Well, it started out with just police officers and survivors, but it is kind of spread out to civilians have started riding. I believe there was probably about 8 to 10 riders in the first ride in 2004. And when I did the first ride in 2008, there was 24 riders, and now we're up to 60 riders.
So folks on your screen, I've talked about it earlier in the show, on the website, ILCOPS.org, that you can go to, we can make a donation, make a pledge. How would they'd go to the site, how would they make a pledge to support someone that's in Cycle Across Illinois?
You can go on Razoo.com, and if you go under ILCOPS, there should be a page with multiple riders that are trying to raise money for the ride, or it could be as simple as going on the Illinois COPS website and clicking on make a donation and following the prompts from there.
Got it. So you just pick out a ride. You may recognize one of the rides. We have some riders here that are from Orland Park that'll be in it.
Yeah, myself, I'll be doing it. Hopefully I'll be able to recruit a couple more riders too.
So folks, go onto the site. Let's support Scott Schuster. We're going to try to raise $1 million in pledges for Scott this year for 2016. It'll be a record. You think that would be a record if we raised $1 million?
Absolutely. I don't think they could make an award big enough for me if I raised that much money.
We want to get you out there. We want to elevate your status, though you're doing a phenomenal job with what we're doing here. So anything more that we want to talk about with with Cycle Across Illinois? Let's talk about this year. It's very special as far as where it ends. So give us a little idea where it starts, but where it ends is very special this year.
Yeah, this year it's different. For several years, they've had the ride start in Alton, Illinois, which is where it's starting right now. It starts right on the Mississippi River. Everyone backs their tire up in the Mississippi River, and that's where it starts. In years past, it has gone from Springfield, Alton to Springfield, Springfield to Bloomington Normal, Bloomington Normal to Joliet, Joliet to Chicago. It was like that for several years, but because there's different line of duty deaths in different parts of the state, that sometimes the route will change. And this year the route will change to go from Bloomington Normal to Lombard, and it'll end in Mchenry County.
And in Mchenry. Now, what's the significance of ending in Mchenry?
Unfortunately, there was a line of duty death in Mchenry County this year.
Okay, so there is a show of support, because that's really what COPS is support, financially, of course, but also it's a spiritual help. I mean, it's to prop up the spirits of the survivors.
Yeah, and I think that's a good word for it. The ride they call it a journey, and it is. The first ride I ever went on, I never really knew what to expect, except that I was going to do a 300-mile bike ride. I thought it was just a good challenge for me, but it is a spiritual journey, not only for the officers, for the civilians, and for the survivors, for the support staff too that are doing it. It's quite an experience.
No, it'll be a great experience, and you think you're in good enough shape for it this year?
Absolutely.
You can do it. Okay, if you're going to raise $1 million, you need to be in good shape. So that's a great fundraiser, that we're doing this year. We got National Night Out for the police force, and in August 2nd. Next January, we're going to buy. We've got the recognizing our law enforcement agencies, and make sure you buy all your local law enforcement officers dinner on January 9th, 2017. So put it on your calendar, folks. But even before that, which very important, and it locally close to home, and it's something, folks, you can do very easily that can benefit cops, and it's something that the Orland Park Police Department came up with in conjunction with us over at Joe Rizza Ford Lincoln over on 159th Street. We're having we have an event that we do called Drive for Your Charity, and this year we've teamed up for this event with the Orland Park Police Force, and specifically with cops. And so on June 18th over at Lifetime Fitness here on 159th Street. If you visit, and a lot of you may be members, I know I'm a member over there, so I'm there every day anyway, but come on over to Lifetime Fitness, and once they get to Lifetime Fitness, you can take a test drive, and you can meet Scott in person and get a picture with Scott. So right there, it's worth it. I don't see how you could ever pass that up. There'll be a number of policemen out there that day that you can share. It's really important to shake their hands and really say thank you, because between policemen and veterans, the veterans are the reason that we're here, that we're still here, and then the policemen are the ones who protect you on a daily basis. So you can never say thank you enough. And Scott, so you're going to be out there that day. How is the relationship now between, with something like this? It benefits the community between the police and a local business like Joe Rizza Ford.
Well, first off, this wasn't my idea. This was Gary Prieston's idea from Joe Rizza Ford, so I want to give him some credit for that. I went on a meeting with them last summer, as we always do, as we start getting our participants for National Night Out Against Crime, and he approached me about doing something with our police department to do a fundraiser. And my connection with Illinois cops, it was a good marriage. So that's how that started. It'll be on June 18th from 9 to 5 at Lifetime Fitness, 16333 LaGrange Road. Joe Rizza Ford will be out there with their staff, with their vehicles.
Yes.
All you had to do is you take a short test drive, fill out a card saying how you like the car, and for every test drive, Joe Rizza Ford will donate $20 back to Illinois cops, up to $6,000, so that's our goal.
Yes, $6,000 is the goal, and then if we get even more test drives, we possibly can raise that to $8,000. So let's get out there, folks, and let's maximize this to the $8,000 goal, and really help out cops, because they do so many things. Everything from scholarship funds to help make sure that the survivors, the children of the surviving fallen officers, are able to go to school. And also they have all kinds of great camps for the youngsters, and they have all kinds of retreats just to help the grieving process. And I think I've said it before earlier in the show that this organization is so important, because it's like a backbone, and gives people like Scott a little assurance that when they go to work every day, God willing, nothing that does happen, but just in case it does, there's some support that is there from an organization like COPS. So please go to the website that's on your screen, COPSIllinois.org, and let's make a donation to support Scott in his trek across Illinois. You're going to put that tire. What kind of bike are you going to be riding that day?
I'll be riding a Trek.
Got a Trek. I just rode a Trek on the Bike to Drive on Sunday. So I know those Treks do stand up. They're when we were kids, we all rode Schwinn's. Now that we're adults, I don't know if you had a Schwinn. You're a little young. You probably don't even remember Schwinn's, but we had Schwinn's when we were young, and now everybody's got a Trek, which is okay. We've grown up now, and we've grown into Trek. So it's going to be great to see everyone make a pledge, folks. Please, let's make a pledge, and let's come out. And you don't even have to spend any money on that day, but come on out June 18th and visit the Orland Park Police and take a quick test drive. You may, and from there, you're going to like the car so much, you're going to come over right down the street to 159th to Joe Rissa Ford Lincoln and probably purchase one of those vehicles. But let's start out by taking a test drive to benefit cops. Scott, in your closing remarks, you want to just summarize what it means to be here in Orland Park as an Orland Park cop and being part of COPS Illinois.
Well, being an Orland Park cop, I'm pretty lucky because we do have tremendous community support for our police department.
Yes.
And in 10 years, I've been amazed at how many people have stopped me and thanked me for what we're doing over here, and they do appreciate us. So to have that kind of relationship with the community is pretty special because it's not like that everywhere. We have a very supportive command staff too that provides the police officers that are doing this ride with vehicles and other necessities so that we can do the ride for those 5 days. And you do the ride one time and it's a strong bond with Illinois cops. It really never goes away. Even guys that don't ride every year will still come out, will still fundraise, will sell t-shirts and things like that. So in addition to coming out and doing a test drive, Illinois cops will be out there with their trailer so that people can kind of meet them and find out more about what they do, and they'll provide information because that's the big thing. The big thing is not only to provide, to give money back to Illinois cops, but also to find out what they're all about so that they feel better about what they're doing.
Very good. And one thing I forgot to mention also, to get it out on our radar, and I don't even know what the date is, but are we doing the policemen also do, and I wrote in it last year with Chief McCarthy, the ride for Special Olympics. Are we doing that this year?
You know what? I don't know if that's on the schedule. Typically, that's towards the end of the summer. I'll have to check on that. I'll tell you what. I'll make sure I make a special phone call to you if we're doing that.
Let me know. Let me know, and we'll get it out there to you guys, folks, because it's a great ride. Raises money for Special Olympics, which is another wonderful organization. But we want to thank the Orland Park Police Department for having us today, and we want to thank Mike Barnes for all his insight into the COPS the COPS Foundation. I don't know if we call it a foundation, an organization, but it just does some great work. And we want to thank Scott for having the foresight to put two and two together in terms of having putting the local business like Joe Rissa Ford together with COPS and being able to do it. And hopefully it's a beginning of a long-lasting relationship for us that helping out such an organization. We're always going to help out the Orland Park Police, and that's because that's what we do is being part of the community. But it's such a great organization, COPS. So I look forward to it. June 18th, come on out, Orland Park at the Lifetime Fitness, 9 to 5. Take a test drive, and we're going to raise $8,000. A month later, this guy's going to try to raise $1 million riding across Illinois. Scott Schuster, thank you very much. It's great to see you out here. Orland Park Police.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.